But I really enjoy being silly. We went bowling as a family a couple days ago. I just decided I would dance in between each point. I enjoy the silly where stakes are low, and I want the opportunity to laugh. So and as I go get older, I really crave opportunities to laugh with people, find joy in situations.
Happy New Year. Can you believe it's 2026 already? Well, I'm Terri Gillespie, and this is my first episode for 2026 of Author to Author. And I can't wait for you to meet this brand new author. She has her debut novel coming out January 20th, and it's called The Lies We Trade, and her name is Kristine Delano. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait for you to get to know her. I can't wait to get to know her. So, Kristine is a former mover and shaker on Wall Street. And this is a Wall Street psychological thriller. So it's very different and it's very exciting. Now, The Lies We Trade, um, like I said, is coming out January 20th. So pre-order. And a lot of times you get it for a really good price. And I'll have the link down below in the description section. And as always, please be sure to like, comment, and share because we want to support Kristine, this brand new author, and her debut novel. And also, if you haven't already subscribed, by the way, thank you so much. We're over 85,000 subscribers, and many of you are from Puerto Rico and other Spanish speaking nations. Hola and gracias. Thank you so much. We want to do something special for you eventually. And if you haven't already subscribed, please smash that red subscribe button. And when the little white bell pops up, click on that and you won't miss any future episodes. So let's meet Kristine Delano. Welcome, Kristine.
Oh, it's so great to be here. I am a longtime listener, so this is an incredible honor. And I have to say, before we even get going, because I'm a fellow podcaster in a totally different industry, but people who like and comment are like love to us because it really helps get the show out to listeners. Like it just really helps in discoverability on all the platforms. So if you're out there and you want to give it a try, it's easy. Just, press the button. So I really want to say that for Terri because she does such an amazing service for bringing authors, to so many listeners.
Thank you so much. And Kristine also has um, she has a podcast, and what is it? We Talk Careers. And can you tell us a little bit about that
Sure. When
podcast?
I sit on a very large board, global board of sort of professionals in the Wall Street arena. We have about 14,000 members and there's 12 of us. And when I retired, so many people wanted to get like a virtual coffee with me. And I was like, sure, sure. And then they would ask me advice and I would say, oh, you really should talk to so and so at Deloitte or so and so at the New York Stock Exchange or so and so there. And then I said, we need to get a platform for people who have amazing advice, amazing stories to share, just really great people. So what really started is I just wanted to interview my 12 like best friends that I just thought really could change the trajectory of a number of careers of young people. And now I'm like 3 years in and I don't seem to be able to stop. But that's how it
Well,
started.
that's wonderful. And you also help women who, had a brief 15-year career. And I tell you what, it was difficult to balance
Mm,
family and career. And you're
yes.
helping with that.
Yes. And, I think one of the things that I try to help with is not having such expectations on ourselves, understanding that there's different chapters in our life where we can excel in different things, but putting God, putting family, putting all of that first, and then really understanding how your career can fuel your calling is so important. And, at what regular intervals are you checking in with the best and most trusted people in your lives? So I find a lot of just care and satisfaction with talking with people who struggle with that. And it is, if you're not struggling, you're probably not moving. So,
Mhm.
and especially in the world of like high finance or some of those pressure jobs, it's a constant struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a negotiator, a
Oh, wow.
large freight negotiator. And then I tracked petroleum, coke, and coal on the inland waterways. So,
Oof.
yeah. So
Yeah. It's just a
it's
little pressure,
just a
come
little
on.
pressure. Yeah. So, and you don't want to lose your humanity and your
Yeah.
femininity
Yes.
as a woman. So,
Right. You
yeah.
definitely you lose your identity at all in that. And it was interesting because I was writing up some things about why Wall Street as a setting for thrillers, and I believe strongly in it because there's just such high stakes and reputations and all that. And I threw it across the desk of a really good friend of mine who's been in the industry for, 40 years. And she that's what she came back to me with. Negotiation, Kristine, you forgot that. Like that's the core of any high powered job is that you've got to be able to negotiate in a way. And I was like, oh my goodness. I think I mentioned the word once in sort of in passing in my whole article. And she was so right. So the fact that you had a job that trained you and then enabled you to get good at it, it is a skill for life for sure.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah, and I was one of those people that didn't like to confront or didn't like
Mm,
to argue or anything like that. So somehow I was able to negotiate and be sweet. So
wow. Yes,
Midwesterner. So
that's incredible.
well,
I got to talk
yeah.
about that later.
So I actually got an email from one of my sister-in-law's agents, financial agents, and she is so excited about listening to your podcast. So,
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's
yes,
wonderful.
yeah.
I can't wait.
So here's the deal. You're an author. You're a
Mhm.
host of this successful podcast, a speaker, a strategic advisor for businesses, schools, and parachurch organizations. Plus, girlfriend, you know how to play hard. So you scuba dive, you spearfish, you go snow skiing. Oh my goodness. So, how in the world can my viewers keep in touch with you?
Oh, well, I have a website, KristineDelano.com, with all of my links. I have a newsletter, which I don't really like to pester people with. So I'm, once a month, but I really try to curate some free reads. So whenever I find something that's good and it's free or really low cost, I try to put it in my Substack newsletter for it. And I've got a novella that gives people a taste of how I write, and that's available for free for any of my subscribers. And because I always have to go a little bit above and beyond, I hired an amazing narrator and produced my own audiobook for it because I wanted to know how understanding what the audiobook narrator needed would change my writing. And it really did. It
Yeah.
helped me understand voice and transitions and all of that. So it was really great working with her. And I have that available for any new subscribers that come on board.
Oh, you and I have to talk a lot after this interview. Now, be sure and check out the links down below in the description section. So, we're going to have, like I said, we'll have a link to the podcast. We'll have a link to pre-ordering that book, The Lies We Trade. I mean, how cool of a title is that? Um,
Yes. And
who
I could
came
take
up with?
zero credit.
Okay.
I had a terrible title. I'm like not I was not good at the title. And when my publisher Tyndale, who's been an amazing partner through all of this, put that out there, it was like I was expecting like a bunch of different title options and they kind of just put that one out there and they're like just let it sit and I immediately saw it and was just so thrilled. I'm like, we don't need to, no negotiation necessary. Like that is absolutely the title of this book. Yeah.
Yeah, it is absolutely, and it drew me in. And once I knew who you were,
Yeah.
and your career, it was like,
Mm,
okay, I
yes.
know what this is going to be. As I said, there'll be a link for you to pre-order the book, and I highly recommend doing that. Um, Now, before we talk about your debut novel, can you explain the significance of ringing the bell at the
Mm,
New York Stock Exchange?
yeah.
That
So that
you know,
was Yeah, it's kind of fun to start a book with the closing bell and it sort of ends with the opening bell of another exchange. So, exchanges around the world, of which there are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of stock exchanges across the world. The biggest and maybe the most popular amongst listeners would be the New York Stock Exchange,
mhm,
located on one wall in Manhattan. And so every time the markets open, a bell is rung. And every time the markets close, a bell is rung. And so the exchanges invite people in or they apply to come in and be able to ring that bell. So it could be a company that's gone public, a new fund that is opened, someone celebrating something very large in the financial industry, International Women's Day, often the UN, and I've been able to be part of that with the UN in ringing the opening bell for the New York Stock Exchange. And so to me, it signifies not only sort of the market hours that we hold, but just a, a sense of celebration for
mhm.
everyone involved. And so it was really important to me that that sort of analogy as well as sort of physical space was in my novel because you really understood what Meredith was feeling of having a bell just for the work that she had done in raising $2 billion in assets and just having such success and then having it all crumble on that same day. Just the amount of stress that that puts on a body.
Yeah, yeah, and relationships, and I mean
Yes.
the the pacing of your book and was just phenomenal because I guess I wasn't expecting it would be a thriller, like a
Mm,
psychological thriller, but
right.
it is. It is
Yes.
so great.
It's neat to be able to get that kind of tension, that kind of propulsion without having to litter dead bodies. And I like thrillers like that too. But it's like the dead bodies are reputational bodies, right? It's this idea of like losing your career, losing your calling, losing who people think you are, as the stakes, as opposed to actually losing your physical life. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah, well there was enough tension that
Mm.
I wondered
Yes.
if there would be bodies.
Right.
So
Yes.
so your book, it was like shadowing you in your high stakes experiences, which really, like you said, they're wildly frenetic anyway. But you add intrigue and you add
Mm.
sabotage, and man, I was turning those pages.
Thank you.
Um, Now, how much of your protagonist Meredith's story is inspired by your own career
Mm.
on Wall Street?
Well, I never set out to be a writer. I've always just been such a voracious reader. From when
Mhm.
I was small, I've used books to like comfort me and for me to find sort of empathy for different people or different situations. Like I'm
Mm.
I'm just a lover of people's stories and a collector of them. So when I retired early from my position, I had all these ideas of what I would do, but I was sort of inundated. I mean, God, I just feel like he downloaded just all these stories in my head, and a lot of them had sort of autobiographical sort of tendencies, right? You know, it's like I was writing what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote three novels before I landed my agent, and I was able to kind of get through a lot of the cathartic pieces of, things that maybe weren't as good and, didn't wouldn't maybe hold the interest of others, but I was learning how to write and I was learning how suspense worked and I was learning sort of the structure of story. So when I got to write The Lies We Trade, I sort of infused this idea of authenticity in it. I was able to take like little traits or interesting personalities and create new characters and create new situations and think, what would happen if the craving for power went unchecked? Or what happens if there's such a power imbalance in a situation where someone's forced to do something that they normally wouldn't do, and then they follow that up with another mistake, or what courage would it take to pull out of it? So, I feel like my decades on Wall Street gave me enough, you know, ammunition to do lots of thrillers.
Yeah,
But
a
none
lot of
of them are like,
material. Yeah.
yeah, and none of them are like journals or diaries. It's really just this idea of I want to make it as authentic as possible because I want to make sure that the people that I worked with and the people that I admire so much who still work in this read it and are entertained. They're excited by it. They maybe question ideas of forgiveness and redemption and things like that. And then people
Mm-hmm.
who don't even have an interest in Wall Street would still want to read it. And so I kind of set that goal for myself with this book.
Well, I think you succeeded. I
Oh,
really
thank
do.
you.
Yeah, I think you succeeded. I know coming from my background, as a negotiator, and which, by the way, freight is traded.
Mm,
Barge freight is traded
yes,
every single day, just like the New York Stock Exchange.
yes.
Except I
Yeah.
think it's in Iowa or something. But
Yeah, the
anyway,
commodities. Yep,
yep,
yep.
yep.
I know
So,
it's interesting when you fly into New York City, you can see oil tankers kind of lining up and they wait for pricing, right? Like they wait for the
mhm.
trading to go before they pull into port. And that's just such a physical sort of reminder of what trading actually can look like on huge, large scale. So every time we're flying to New York, people are looking at the buildings and I'm like looking at the freighters and being like, ooh, oil prices are down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The big thing was, getting that barge rate from St. Paul to Devant, Louisiana,
Oh,
St. Paul,
yeah.
Minnesota. Yeah, and I actually got it down to like 535 or something like that per net
Ooh,
ton. So yeah,
nice. And was still being nice and kind, huh? That's awesome. It's all
I
about
tried.
relationships in the end. Yep.
Yeah, it is. It's about
Yes.
relationship and trust. And that's
Yes.
another really important thing that you bring into it, the theme that you bring into this book, because trust is
Yes.
so critical, not just in business, but
Right.
between a mother and a daughter, between a
Right.
husband and a wife. So
Right.
kudos. So viewers love hearing authors read from their book. And I read the first paragraph.
I heard that. You did a great job. You
Did you?
didn't stumble it off.
Ah, ah. You're flattering me. That's just so nice. So if you could read, pick whatever you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you just mentioned husband and wife, and that's actually the part that it's like their relationship is in some ways non-traditional, very non-traditional, but loving, and but they're going through a pretty hard time. So this is about a third of the way in the book, and I just thought it sort of signifies to me how they're getting it wrong. So
Ooh.
it starts here. The ringing of my desktop phone startles me. So you are still there. Clint's voice, wrapped in a heavy sigh, expels out of my speaker. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's been a crazy night. I knew inviting you home would have the opposite effect. I watch the little hairs on my left forearm rise. The warmth of the room has evaporated. I am so tired of being manipulated by the people closest to me. I've made it too easy. I'm a target with multiple bullseyes. He invited me back into my own home and I let him. No, worse than that. I asked to be invited back. And on top of isolation, he's shaming me with the prediction that I would let him down. I grab my suit jacket from my chair and punch my arm through one of the sleeves. You're right. It must have been your invitation that skewered me to my office chair, dealing with stressors I shield you and everyone else from. Meredith, I've never asked you to be some sort of superhero. In fact, the opposite. I asked you to share your life. I lean over and talk directly into the phone speaker. You have no idea what you ask of me. Yeah, my mistake. My mistake to think on a day like this, my wife would want to be home with her family. The line clicks off. Anger rages inside me. I immediately press the line and dial the number I know by heart. I need a car to the Midtown Hilton. So sad.
Oh, yeah, but you know what? I felt that. I
Yeah.
I I really felt that. And ah, nice job, Kristine. Nice job. So, um, what are you working on now? I mean, without giving away any spoilers, what are you working on next?
So I was really blessed to sign a two-book contract for my first contract with Tyndale. So super happy about that because it helped me sort of roll right into what I presented next. And
Mhm.
so what's cool is that I really enjoy story structure. So this book is a kind of a one point of view. We're in her mind the entire time. And it's funny because I mentioned this to some early readers and they're like, wow, I didn't even notice. Like, it didn't even notice kind of the point of view. But there's some ways it's really hard. You can't tell the story unless she's in the room, unless she's witnessing it. And
Mhm.
it was such a fun way to write this story. And that's, I think, what the book required. This second book is a sister's book. So not only do we have two points of view, but we've got dual timelines. They're in different timelines and they're estranged, and you're trying to figure out who has done what at what time. And it's still set on Wall Street, and but it's so much a book of relationships and lost love and missed opportunities and sort of the requirements we put on family that we put on no one else. So it's been really, really fun writing that one too.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, I'm the eldest of three sisters and two brothers, but
Mm, yeah.
it's yeah, I'm always, I'm the one with the mouth.
I'm the
So,
oldest of three sisters too, so I'm
are
I'm
you?
the one always in charge too.
Yeah, we're
Sometimes I don't want to
bossy.
be, but
I know, but they make us.
nothing happens.
Oh, now for these interviews, I love asking fun questions. And with Kristine's background, there's a couple of questions I'd like to ask. So, first of all, tell us something about yourself that most people don't know.
Something about myself that most people don't know. Um, I, as I mentioned, I never thought I was going to be a writer. I was a behavioral neuroscience major in college, and yep, and I was going to med school. I deferred med school and did Teach for America. So I taught high school in Center City, Baltimore. It was not only dangerous, I did get hurt.
Yeah.
But I also was so desperate to find success that I partnered with an engineering firm. And because of that and the work that we did together, I got so excited about solving big, hairy problems that I ended up going back to graduate school for engineering instead. And I thought I would give my life over to this idea of working for sort of large firms trying to solve problems, and never expected to end up on Wall Street. But the first client that I kind of got to, I started working for them. And I think that sometimes people come to me with the idea of like, I don't know what my calling is. And they sort of misplace the idea of calling with place. So it's like,
Mm.
am I this or am I that? And I always want to, what is it that gets you excited? You know, is it solving puzzles? Is it making sure at the end of the day that, you know, everything is organized? Is it this idea of, you know, making sure that people around you are finding success? And I feel like those are the types of questions that help people find their place, because that can happen in the medical field, that could happen
Yeah.
in the field, that could happen in, you know, working with barges going up and down rivers. You know, it's a really so to me, what a lot of people don't know about me is the fact that I feel like it's less about Wall Street for me and more about that I love working with people and I love solving big problems.
Yeah, I love that because it's I had a friend say to me, what are you passionate about? So passionate that you want to pound your fist on the table because it's so important to you.
Yes.
And knowing what that is that's life changing because if you can
Yes.
integrate that into whatever you're doing,
Right.
it'll be so fulfilling.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
and I feel like sometimes it's big, big problems we can solve, and sometimes you're a small part of it. You had mentioned before that I to scuba dive, and I do, and I've been doing it for a long time. I love snorkeling. I love anything that gets me in the ocean because I grew up in Guam. But what I also love is a task, you know? So I
Mhm.
love that I'm like cleaning up reefs, so I'm picking up garbage, or I'm like spearfishing fish that are invasive to, you know, the reefs and killing them. I really enjoy the idea that I can even be a very small part of a much larger solution if a lot of people care. And so um, I I love talking to people about what it is that gets them excited to wake up in the morning, and you know what it is that gets their heart pumping, because I feel like we can always find the job. We just don't always know what it is that we're passionate about
Mhm.
doing.
Mhm. And it goes back to that expectation that if we, we sometimes think that that little thing that we do doesn't amount to anything. But the
Mm,
reality is, if you didn't do it,
right,
maybe you'd never get
right.
done. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Lionfish are some of the beautiful fish. If anyone wants to Google it, they're gorgeous. They've got all these things, but they're also like vacuum cleaners. So they like open their mouths and they just vacuum up all the little baby fishes everywhere. So reefs die because reefs need fish that clean them and things like that. And so these lionfish that came over from Asia many, many decades ago, you know, are just decimating reefs because they have no natural predators. Um,
Really?
and so exactly what you said, like you can look at that and be like, me, one person with one spear and one what we call like a zoo, and you know, I'm spearfishing fish and then, you know, sticking them in my, you know, container to bring him up, and I can do, you know, maybe 40 or 50 in a dive, which is nothing. But when you think about all the little fishies that I've saved from being vacuumed, maybe then grow to adulthood and clean those reefs, you know, maybe it's, you know, yards, if not more reef that I can help with. It's not a forever solution, but it's something that I am passionate about. And, you know, I'm always going to know that I am only a soldier, that God's going to multiply
Mm,
the work that I do.
mm, mm.
And as long as I'm doing the thing that moment I'm called to do, that's all I can worry about.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that. My husband was in the Navy, so he's familiar with Guam.
Oh yeah, my dad was in the Navy. That's why we were, yeah, that's why we were stationed in Guam. It was such an amazing place to grow up. My sister was born there and has never been back, and I've always wanted to try to get myself and my sisters out there again because it was just an incredible upbringing, like no other place that I've ever been.
Yeah, because you had because there's actually a base there, isn't there? There's a
Yes, there
there's
was
a
an
naval
Air Force
base.
and naval base,
Okay.
both sides of the island,
So
and
you
it
kind
was,
of have the
quite a strategic island during World War II for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So you have kind of the protection of the base, but then you have all these other things to explore. Oh,
yeah.
yes. So kind of um well, what's the silliest thing that you've ever done?
Oh goodness, I feel like I'm silly a lot, to the chagrin of my children. So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, well, the silliest thing I probably ever did was novel and became a novelist because that was really not part of my plan. But I really enjoy being silly. We went bowling as a family a couple days ago, like 2 days ago, and I'm not very good. My husband and my son are both tennis players, and so they're quite good. And my other daughter's and she and I we're trying really hard, I gotta say. And my third daughter wasn't feeling well, so she was, off probably thrifting or something. Every once in a while coming back to check on us. But I just decided I would dance in between each point. I was like making little faces at my son, and he's just rolling his eyes, and he's just like, "Mom, stop!" And I enjoy the silly especially in times where stakes are low, and I want the opportunity to laugh. So and as I get older, I really crave opportunities to laugh with people, find joy in situations that, I'm losing badly, but I'm having a whole lot of fun.
Um, by the way, the blog interview with Kristine, um, she has some really great writing tips. So if you want to publish and you want to write, um, she's got some helpful tips there. And the link will be down below in the description section. Now, on that note, the A2A giveaway for January is a soft cover copy of The Lies We Trade. And and the really cool thing is that um, the drawing will be January 16th, and um, most likely you'll get the book before anyone else does. So that'll be cool too.
That's so cool.
So, how many viewers would like to win? Well, if you're looking for opportunities for your entries, like, comment, share, and subscribe both on this episode and also on the blog interview. You can have up to 6 entries by doing that. If you're already a subscriber, as long as you like and comment and share, you get those extra entries as well. Now, the only caveat is entries in the contiguous US. Got to figure out something at least for Hawaii and Alaska and Canada, don't you think? Got to figure something
Yeah,
out.
can we
You're
do
a problem
electronic
solver.
copies for them or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is maybe e-copies, but they poo-pooed that. So, um, Kristine, have any
Yes.
final words for my viewers?
Well, I want to thank you for taking a shot on a debut author. I know that when I was listening to your last episode and you were talking about the book, you were saying that you don't, take on a lot of debuts. And I get that. People are sort of new to the idea of what is going to um, entertain and feed a reader through a story. So I would just say that, my final words is to take a chance on this one. Even if you're maybe not so much into finance. There is so much in this story that's really about relationships, really about people, and truly what um, what grounds us all in the idea of who we are and how we care for each other. So I love to do that as writing in a suspenseful way because I just think it's just a fun way to consume a story. So I love to hear what people think. I'm always open to it, and I have thick skin from Wall Street, so bring it on.
Well, that brings up a very good point is when you read the book and you like a book, the best thing that you can do is to leave a review, even if it's just a couple of lines.
Yes.
Leave it on Amazon, leave it on Goodreads, leave it on BookBub and
Right.
or Barnes and Noble. It is a way for you to really help authors, especially a debut author. So,
Yes. Well, and it's exciting too. Bookclubs.com just did a giveaway for one of their book clubs with copies of my book, and that was really exciting to see that come out and then to see, the reviews start to come in that, people are in the book. So that was just really it's really fun, these sites that are serving readers um to make sure that they get, access to books that maybe they wouldn't normally
mhm,
pick up.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and I love talking to book clubs. You're gonna love that.
Mm,
You're just gonna
I
love
can't wait.
that. Um, my next A2A show will feature best-selling and award-winning suspense author Janice Cantore, and she is a former cop um, who writes police thrillers that are like emotional car chases. I mean, they are very intense. So, and I think there are a few bodies along the way, but
Yes, yes. She and I had lunch last year
no
in
way.
outside of Myrtle Beach, and then we went on a writing retreat together with a few other authors, and I was the baby author, having been invited to all these amazing, successful authors, and she was just so, so kind. So I am excited to read her next one.
Yeah, yeah, I've got it on my table in the living room. I'm all ready. Well, Kristine, thank you so much. You've been a great guest. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm going to really enjoy reading your next book. Viewers, thanks again for watching. It's this is a big one, the 60th episode. Um, I really appreciate you supporting me, supporting these authors, these wonderful authors, and these great books. Um, I will see you next time. In the meantime, God bless and keep reading.
Reading.